Yep, good start. Did my morning cars, had some coffee, you know, practiced some smiles, had to be ready. We're going to do lots of cars today. We're going to do some extra focus on some breathing and some passive and active stuff. So we'll take some joints through their passive range of motion and then active to kind of figure out the gap between them and get a sense of how we can close that gap. So, Mitch, you can't start yet.
Oh, sorry.
I'm joking. Please do whatever you want to do. I'm a big fan of sneaking in movement anytime you can. To start today, we're going to do a little bit of breath work for a couple minutes, and then I want you to think about some of that as we're doing some of the other stuff. So if you can breathe calmly and control your breathing, it actually really has a big effect on how your tissues respond. So some of the stuff we'll do might have you getting a little bit crampy. Things want to cramp up, and if you feel that, breathing deeply, breathing into your back can really help to calm down your tissues and nervous system. So to start, I'm going to have us actually on our backs here. So you can lie down, and I'm going to have you go with your knees bent, lying on your back. All right, and step one, I just want you to kind of gently push through your heels. Think about trying to tuck your pelvis just a little bit. So like when we're doing the cat-cows and we're tucking the pelvis, try to just gently round your low back a little bit. And just maintain that. And from here, we're going to start by breathing in calmly through the nose and breathing out through the mouth, through pursed lips. So breathing out through pursed lips helps create a little bit more pressure and helps us drive more of that air out on a longer exhale. So a couple breaths like this, no other focus, just breathe in calmly through the nose. Long exhale out through the mouth through pursed lips. All right, and then on your next one, I want you to focus on what's happening at your ribs. So blow that air out on the exhale and try to imagine and feel your ribs coming down, closing in a little bit, dropping down towards the floor and towards your hips. So they're contracting. And then in through the nose. Okay, maintain that little tuck of the pelvis, a little bit of pressure pushing through the heels. Breathe in calmly through the nose, blow all the air out, and I want you to really feel your obliques, your abdominals kicking in towards the end of that exhale. That'll accentuate the tuck of the pelvis. Breathe in through your nose, trying to keep your ribs down. And keep that tuck. And if you're able to do that, that's going to direct the air more into your back. The back of your rib cage is where you might feel it a little bit more. There we go. And a couple more breaths here. So now, if you're able to do this pretty well and you feel like your ribs aren't popping up as you inhale, that's great. What I want you to focus on is trying to hold that exhale. So you breathe in, exhale as much as you can, feeling the rib cage come down. Hold for a couple seconds, and then breathe into your back. So imagine you're trying to get that breath to expand your back. And we'll just go for one more breath, wherever you are, one more inhale and exhale. Focusing on a full exhale as much as you can go. Calm inhale, breathing into your back. All right. Awesome. So from here, we're going to do some neck cars, but first I just want to talk about that for a moment. So if you're able to, in other positions too, that one tends to be the easiest to feel that into your back. But if you're able to achieve that doing other things, it's a great way to bring your nervous system down and calm yourself a little bit. So very effective. And it can be difficult. So if that was challenging, that's very normal if you're not used to it. What we'll do next is neck cars. So you can kneel, you can stand, sit, whatever is comfortable for you. I'm just going to go kneeling here. I'm going to put a little block behind me. And we're going to do neck cars, drawing a big circle with our chin. So shoulders staying low. All right, I'm going to have you tuck your chin, slowly round down. Rotate to the right. So you're going to drag your chin over towards that right shoulder. Tip your right ear to the shoulder. Look back and up, stretching the chin away from the body. Tip to the left. Rotate left. Round down. And then you can unwind there. All right, and then you can go the other way. So I'm going to have you just take a minute here. I'll walk you through the next one, but you can go at your own pace. You'll round down. Rotate the other way to the left, tip your ear to the side, look back and up, shoulders stay nice and still, tip to the right, rotate right, round down. Okay, so another 30 seconds or so, just take your time wherever you're at. Just focus on trying to find your biggest pain-free range of motion, drawing a big circle with your chin. And make sure you're breathing. So another thing with the breathing, to train it a little bit better, we use that exhale through the mouth. But ideally, throughout the day and throughout most of your exercise, especially if it's not super intense, you want to be trying to breathe in and out through your nose as much as possible. Finish the rep you're on here with the neck. Oh yeah. And then we'll get into some shoulder cars. So we're going to do a little shoulder bunch of fun here. So we're going to do shoulder cars, some shoulder passive range holds, and then more shoulder cars. Now, for this one, I'm going to have you kick your left leg out like so. Comfortable stretch. Don't want it to be extreme. And you're going to bring both of your hands down like this. All right, and I'll show you from this angle here. Okay, you can sit back if you want more of a stretch. You can come up if you want a little less, or bring your foot closer to you. From here, we're going to do shoulder cars with your left shoulder. So left leg is out, left shoulder is working. So we're going to go across our body towards the right arm, reach up, rotate internally, reach way back behind you, and you're going to bring your arm back, probably hit your backside at some point, and then you'll reverse. Back, rotate, reach up towards the sky, and across. All right, I'll give you the other angle there. And same thing, we're coming across, reach up. As we're doing this, right hand is glued and your sternum and belly button are pointing down. They're staying nice and still. Yep, once you find your backside, we're internally rotated. You're going to reverse, reach back and up, rotate externally as you reach up and across. All right, then you can relax for a moment. Shake out the arms a little bit if you need to or would like to. And we're going to do the same thing with the other side. This is also a nice option if you're low on time. You want to get a little hip stretch, and you also want to work the shoulders. So same deal. We're coming across with the right, up, rotate internally as you reach back behind you. Reach, 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 find your backside, and then you're going to reverse it. Reaching back, rotate, reach, up, torso staying really still. Good, and then we'll go for one more rep. Nice and slow and controlled. Rest your body staying still. And most importantly, we're staying in a pain-free range. Really try to push the limits of that carb without pain. Once you come back down, you can relax. Whew. Alrighty. So now, since we've been down a little bit, we're down on the knees, I'll bring you back up to standing now. And we're going to work on, now that the shoulders are warmed up, we're going to work on passive range holds. So with our joints, we have active and passive ranges, and if you have a big gap between them, that's where we have a potential issue. So essentially, passive range, and you can do this along with me, is where you can pull your arm, where momentum can take it, or gravity. So you're going to take your right arm and pull it towards your chest. And just find a comfortable stretch there. So if you're looking from a bird's eye view, what we're trying to do is close this angle. So this is abduction, this is adduction. We're trying to close this angle as much as possible. All right, I'm just going to hold a nice stretch. So if your shoulder can get here, and you can put as much force as you want as long as it's not painful, that's awesome. That's great. However, if you can't control your shoulder and your arm here, that's a potential issue and injury risk. So what I'll demonstrate first, you get to hold that nice stretch for a moment longer. I'll demonstrate first, you don't have to do this yet, is we're going to let go of our arm and try to hold it there. Okay, so you're going to feel all these tissues fire up. All right, hold tight. Slowly with your left arm, unhook, try to hold your shoulder there. 3, 2, 1. You can rehook and pull in. Take a little breather. Very normal to feel some weird contraction in all of these tissues. As long as it's not painful, that's cool. So we're going to do it again. This time, you felt what wanted to contract. I want you to proactively engage that. Try to tighten everything up before you let go. All right, slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1. You can hook. Take a little breath, maybe a bigger breath. So here's another fun thing. In order to make this more difficult, we can have gravity acting totally against us, so you don't have to try this. If it's already really hard, you know, you can keep that position. But yeah, if you kind of go perpendicular to the floor with your torso, that'll make it tougher. So we're going to do the same thing, holding tight, slowly let go. Woo! Hold. 3, 2, 1, hook. You can stand up if you were leaning over. Take a little breather. We're just going to do one more. So the difference in intent with your intent is to not let it move a millimeter versus, I'll let it slide a bit. It's going to really change your effort level. So it's going to move somewhat, totally normal, but if you're ready for it and really fighting that movement, you'll engage a lot more. So let's go one more. Pull close. Get ready. Slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and you can relax there. All right. So, very fun. If you noticed a big gap, or just if it was really, really challenging and took a ton of energy, this is a good thing to work on. And another thing this does, this active component to the stretch, it makes it last a little more. So it's more effective. If you are tight through here and you want to stretch, and you hold this passive stretch every day, there's a good chance you won't see a huge difference. But if you force your body to control that position, you're more likely to see some positive changes. So good news, looks like we all have 2 arms, so we get to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so we'll start off, find a stretch there. Take some breaths, okay? The fun thing here is with these principles, you can take any part of your body into any range of motion that's not painful and try this type of movement. And we're gonna try it throughout today in a bunch of other positions. So find a comfortable stretch. We'll start off with the first one. You're going to slowly unhook and try to hold. Good. And rehook and pull in. All right, so having some sense of urgency helps a lot. So if I imagine, there is like a red hot poker right here in front of my arm, and I really, really try not to move it, I'm going to work harder. All right, same thing. We're going to slowly unhook, anticipate, hold, yep, and rehook. All right, just like we did on the other side, if you want an extra challenge and can handle it, you can also come down like this. And another thing I didn't mention is I want you to think about not just your arm position, but where it is in relation to your opposite shoulder. So if I let go, but I turn my body, my arm might be in the same spot, but I'm losing range. So also try not to let your torso move when you let go. All right, ready? You're hooked tight. Slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Rehook. Take a breath or two there. All right. Nice. Good. We get to do one more here. One more. So if you think about keeping like your elbow as close to your opposite shoulder as possible, that's a good focus. Ready. We're going to slowly unhook. Hold. 3, 2, 1, and you can relax there. Whew. So it may be a little counterintuitive as well, but doing this type of stuff long term and sometimes even acutely can actually make your shoulders and whatever part you're working feel looser and more free. All right, so now what we get to do, we get to reinforce some of that with some more shoulder cars. So for this one, we're going to go into a half kneeling position so I'm going to have you go left knee down, right leg forward, and you can even have it out a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be like this, pelvis is locked in. I'm going to pry my leg out a little so I get a little bit of a hip stretch. I'm going to take my right arm and I'm going to push it into my thigh, and they're kind of pushing against each other in whatever way is sustainable for you. And you can even rock in a little bit for a little extra stretch there. All right, so we're getting a little multitasking. From here, shoulder cars with our left shoulder. And what I want you to focus especially on is that adduction. So as you come across, I want you to feel those same tissues working. All right, so we're going 2 reps. You're going to come across, squeeze the pec and shoulder, reach up, internally rotate, reach back, and you're probably going to feel a stretch, a bigger stretch in those tissues because they've been working pretty hard. Then you'll reverse, externally rotate, reach up, and then feel those tissues again, squeeze to pull your arm across. This is a part of the shoulder car that often isn't pushed as hard because it's just not naturally as difficult. It's easy to kind of skip through. We'll go one more here. Reach, keeping pressure with that right arm into your thigh. That'll help keep you really stable and keep a little extra tension on your body. Then we'll reverse. Oh yeah. Squeezing across and down. And you may notice, as I said before, as you go this way, you might feel a little bit more of a stretch. So now we get to switch it up. I'm going to go right knee down, left leg forward. I'm going to get my foot out a little bit. Pry it open. I'm going to lean into it. Push with a little bit of force. Right shoulder, we're coming across. Squeeze. Up. Internally rotate as you reach way back behind. There we go. Then we'll reverse. Externally rotate, reach up, and once you get to this flexion, that's when pec is start pulling in that shoulder across and down. All right, and we'll go for one more here. Yep. rotate, reach, actively find that nice stretch. And then you can reverse, rotate, reach up, squeeze across. Whew. All right, you can take a moment, take a little breather. You can also work other ranges of motion with your shoulders similarly, which we'll do in another time. But just so, you know, as one quick example, you could work flexion like this, where you could stretch as far as possible and then come up and try to hold it. And that would be a similar idea, passive range hold. So next, we're gonna work on the spine. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit here. We'll start in our cat-cow, quadruped position. Alrighty. I've got my Hobbs jersey on, so I'm trying to really be a cat here. So you're gonna start droop down. With those shoulder blades, you're pushing away. So your chest stays away. Start with the pelvis. You're gonna slowly tuck, and we're gonna slowly round little by little, one vertebrae at a time. All the way to your upper back, and then you'll tuck your chin, and you're gonna hold that position. And now untuck, so untuck the pelvis, droop through the low back, intending to go one vertebrae at a time. As you get to your upper back, you're still pressing away through your arms, so your shoulder blades aren't moving. We'll go one more time here, leading with the pelvis. So you're gonna tuck, slowly round. Focus on contracting the underside of your body, the front side. So abs are working, you're contracting to round that spine. Tucking the chin. Hold that rounding at the top, and starting with your tail. All right, tailbone kicks back and up as we untuck the pelvis. Droop down. Work your way to the mid, into the upper back, pressing away. Awesome. And then you can relax there for a moment. All right. So then what we're gonna do is leading with the other side. All right, so same deal, we're gonna lead with the chin, and same process here. Typically, this way is easier than trying to droop down. All right, and I really want you to focus on not letting this happen, but driving away through the shoulders. So here, we're gonna start droop down. Tail is the last thing to tuck under. Okay, so we're gonna tuck the chin, slowly round through the upper back, taking your time, working your way to the mid back. Feel that low back round as much as possible, and then you're gonna tuck that tail between your legs. Tuck the pelvis, hold the rounding. Okay, so your abs are working. This is the toughest part usually. You're gonna start looking up with your chin, droop through your upper back, not your shoulders though, just the upper back. Slowly work your way to the mid back, to the low back. Kick that tail back and up. You got it. And then we'll go one more time each way. This is not gonna be perfect, and that's totally cool. Just do your best. Tuck your chin. Slowly try to round one vertebrae at a time. That's your intent. That's the most important, is your intent, not necessarily the output. Tuck that tail underneath at the end. Shoulders are pushed away, and we're going to look up with the chin. Slowly droop through the upper back. Beautiful. Taking your time. Droop, droop, droop. Working your way to the low back. And got it. All right. Then you can relax there for a moment. What we're going to do next is we're going to work on spinal extension. And this is something that you want to be aware of. You're not in all the time. So some people, I used to be this way a lot. just like standing, kind of like this. So we don't want to be there all the time, but it's good to be able to control it. So a lot of these ranges we don't necessarily want to be living in, but we want to be able to get there and get out. So I'll show you real quick what we're going to do. We're going to do a press up essentially, and then come down. But it's going to be a lot slower. We're going to try to start with our head and basically peel our way off the floor. Once you need help, you're going to use your hands to help you. Then on the way down, you're going to try to use as little hands as possible. So as you come down, less pressure, less pressure, less pressure. Okay, so in doing this, we're trying to move one vertebrae at a time. I don't want you to feel any pain. So if you feel any pain at your low back, that's where I want you to stop. So your glutes are going to be tight. Okay, you're going to peel off and then assist. And I really want you trying to feel a contraction all along the back muscles to actively pull you up. This is not passive, so I'm not just like leaning. I really want to move every part of my spine. Okay, so I'll walk you through it now. Remember, biggest thing, it doesn't matter how far you go. If you experience pain, that's the position I want you to stop. So glutes are engaged, all right? Your backside's going to be working. You're going to start by lifting your head, okay? And then lift and move each vertebrae one by one till you get to your chest. Start to feel your mid-back. You can use your hands to start helping, but don't let your back relax. Your back muscles are working the whole time. Your hands are helping only as much as you need to. Once you feel like you've extended as much as possible through your back, you're going to slowly come down. But your back muscles are still working. They're not giving up. You're slowly coming down. You're going to find your belly. Then as you work down towards your chest, try to use less hands. Less hands. And then take them off if you can and control yourself down. Whew. This is one too that if you have your feet hooked onto something or pushing onto something, that might help. All right, so we're going to do another one there. Again, you want your back muscles working as hard as possible without pain. So we'll start by lifting the chin. Good, and you're just extending each vertebrae one at a time till you get to your chest. Glutes are going to be working overtime here. So now we're peeling off as much as you can without your hands. Start using those hands to help. Okay, but only as much as they need to. Try to feel every tissue in your back, your whole spine. Once you get as high as you can, then we're going to slowly start coming down, but your spine's still working. Your back muscles are still working. All right, actively we're controlling it. Control down, control down. Once you can lift your hands off, go for it. And you're going to slowly lower to the ground. Whew. All right, we're just doing 2 reps of that. Nice work. Hopefully that made sense. That can take a lot of focus. A very typical like back health and care exercise that people do is press-ups, is prone press-ups, which I think is good. The challenge is a lot of times it's a very passive thing. So if your spine, as we found with cat-cows and some other things, typically our spine doesn't move perfectly evenly. Like oftentimes, especially in people who have some back pain, either the low back doesn't move at all, or you get like one point that moves a lot. So one of the challenges is this can be good in theory, but if you don't use a lot of focus, what's going to happen is you're just going to move your spine where it already wants to move. And I'll go like this, and that one segment that already gets beat up is going to take on all the force. So that's why here we're focusing on really trying to move one vertebrae at a time, and even priming that with the cat-cows. So, additionally, making it as active of a process as possible helps ensure that you're not going to end up in a position that's not good for your body. So hopefully that makes some sense. And next, we get to do the knees. So we're going to be seated. We're going to start with some tibial rotations. All right, so we can go, let's go with our left leg. Okay, and heel down. We're going to rotate in and out. Just like that. And don't mind if you happen to notice my toes are very bruised. That's from playing Frisbee. They don't like being in cleats. There we go. So we're rotating as far as we can, each way. Excellent. Rotation, very, very important. If you're accustomed to this, if you got pretty good range of motion, then I also want you to add a little resistance. So that's part of what I wanted to do today. So you can kind of pull against your shin and rotate. So that'll give you a little extra resistance there through that rotation. Sometimes that can even help you get a little bit more range, because especially going internally, a lot of times people lose range and kind of lose a connection with the tissues here. So if you pull externally, give it a little force, and really focus on these inner tissues doing some of the work, you might be able to find a little more engagement just by using a little bit more force. There we go. All right, now we can switch. So you can switch up. We'll try the other knee, see how that one's doing. Very often, if you have any knee discomfort or issues in one knee, typically that knee will not be able to rotate as much. And if it can, oftentimes there's a gap in strength. So step one is making sure our knee can rotate. That's great. Then we want to make sure we have active control and strength. So if you're playing sports or you're doing something that's tough on your knees, we can add this resistance, because maybe you can rotate your knee a lot, but once you add a little bit of extra resistance, you no longer have control. So that's something we always want to think about, is not just being able to get to a certain position, but be able to get there passively, then actively, then with some extra degree of strength. All right, now you can relax those legs. All right, we're gonna do one of my favorites, knee flexion passive range holds. So if you have something to hold on to, that would be very helpful. If you have multiple things, that's even better. Well, actually you'll need a hand. But you want to be nice and stable. I'm going to show you first what we'll do. The goal is to grab your knee or your quad, or your ankle rather. Tuck your pelvis so you're not extended through the low back. And then let go and try to hold it. Now if grabbing it is difficult, then what I'll just have you do is work on some active knee flexion. Okay, or if sometimes being seated is more helpful, you can sit on something and have your leg up like this and grab it, or even lying on your side. So if grabbing the ankle is tough, you can just do active flexion or go on your side. If you got the ankle, what I'm going to have you do, just for like a second, you're going to let go and try to hold it. All right, so you're going to let go, hold, and relax. Okay, we're going to work our way up. So now what I'm going to have you do before the next one is point your knee straight down, your kneecap, right at your side, and we're going to just actively do a few pumps here. Try to close that gap, close this angle as much as you can. So I want to prime these tissues, your hamstrings, a little bit more, because when I ask you to really hold that passive range, your nervous system might freak out a little bit and cramp. All right, shake that leg for a moment. So what we're going to try to do is pull that knee as bent as you can, let go and try to hold it with as little drop as possible. All right, so you got your knee, or you got your ankle rather. Keep calling this a knee. Close that gap as much as you can. Try to anticipate like we did with the shoulder and contract your hamstrings. Slowly let go and try to hold. 3, 2, 1, bring it down. Ooh, shake it out. All right, one big issue I often see with knees is a lot of people can flex their knees a lot. Like a lot of people can hold their heel to their butt passively. But then actively, like if you have a significant drop more than about 15 to 20 degrees, that's the potential for injury or just for joint degradation. So we really want to try to bridge that gap, which sometimes these passive range holds can do. So we're going to grab that knee again, or that ankle. All right, keep your body solid. So when you let go, the only thing that's changing is your knee. All right, slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Woo. Shake it out. We get to do one more. If this is something that is really difficult for you or really uncomfortable, please practice it. It can make a big difference. You don't have to practice 5 to 8 second reps. You can do 2 second and just do a few every day, and it can make a difference. Last one here. All right. Your body is solid. You're pulling that heel as close as you can towards your butt. Anticipate, get ready, let go, hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Whew. All right, shake that out a moment. And we get to do the same thing on the other side. What's cool now is we get to assess the other side. So if you couldn't bend your knee a lot passively, all right, that's something you probably want to stretch a bit. If you could, but you dropped a lot when you let go, then you really want to practice knee cars and those passive range holds. And huge opportunity for improvement, so that's exciting. All right, let's do our first one just for a second, okay? So you're standing tall, you're solid, you're gonna slowly let go and just hold for a moment and relax. All right. And what you'll notice oftentimes is like the first rep before you really prime your nervous system is you're gonna get more drop. As you get more practice with it, you'll have a better ability to hold it there. So now we're gonna do a few knee bends here. So the spine isn't moving, pelvis isn't moving, we're just trying to flex and extend that knee. There we go. Get it ready. You can even pull up and squeeze. And it makes a big difference if your hip is bent. Like this is much easier than this for most people. All right, now we'll grab that ankle. You're solid, your body isn't moving, isn't changing. Pull heel towards your butt. Slowly let go and hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Whew. And maybe you made a mental note, maybe you could see yourself or you felt it, but I do want you to compare sides here. So if not now, you can also film yourself doing this so you get a better objective look at it. All right, but compare how you feel and how much that leg might drop. All right, so we're gonna do another one here. Find that nice stretch. Pull heel towards the butt as much as you can. Get ready, we're gonna slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Shake it out. We'll get to do one more. All right. And last one, we'll grab, stay nice and solid, pull towards the butt, get ready, anticipate, no drop here, slowly let go, hold, 3, 2, 1. relax. Whew. Awesome. All right. Take a little breather there. Very nice. So one thing with that too, if you have tight hip flexors and quads, or they feel tight and there's tension and soreness, sometimes just stretching, similarly like what I spoke about with the shoulders, just stretching passively typically isn't going to create lasting changes. You might have temporary relief, and that's valuable, but adding the active component of stretching and then asking your body to control it, that can actually make this feel a lot more comfortable with a lot less tension. Now, we are going to do some active knee cars lying down. So we're going to use this range. You're going to get a nice stretch here. You'll pull your knee up. It doesn't have to be all the way, but I do want you to get a little stretch. And I'm going to have you flex and extend with rotation. So we'll go externally rotating the shin, okay, like so. Extend as much as you can. Internally rotate the shin, pull in. All right, externally rotate, extend, internally rotate, pull in. Rotate, extend, rotate, pull in. And then we're going to rotate the other way. So internally rotate while you're bent, extend with it extended, externally rotate, and pull in. Internally rotate, extend, externally rotate, pull in. One more here, and focus on bending that knee when you come down as much as you can. Pull, 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 and then relax. All right, then we can do the same thing with the other knee. Okay, so we're going to pull the knee up. We're going to externally rotate that shin. Extend as best you can. Internally rotate, pull in. External, extend, internal, pull in. And we don't want to get full extension there, maybe 80%, and if you're pulling the knee up, you won't get full extension. Once you pull back in here, then we're going to go internally rotating first. Internal rotate, extend, externally rotate, pull in. Internal, extend, external, pull in. And we'll go for one more there. Nice and slow. And then you can relax there. Whew. Awesome. Alrighty, so next up, we're going to work on the hips. So, it's all been working towards the hips. We're going to go seated, and you can bend your right knee. We're just going to do a few of these reps here, and I'm going to have you rotate externally and internally. Alright, so we're just going in and out, rotating that hip, actively working. Oh yeah, so we're getting them ready. Then we're going to do a little hip external rotation, passive range hold, which is going to be just as fun as the others. The hips sometimes can be a little tougher for the passive range stuff just because they're heavier, they're stronger, it's a little tougher to do on our own, but I'll give you a strategy here. Actively rotate as far as you can each direction here without pain. Alright, and then we can switch up the legs. So then, we'll use that left leg, focus on using those hip muscles to pull, rotate, and rotate. There we go. So yeah, with any of this passive stuff, it can be a really good opportunity to do partner work. So if you have someone else who's willing, You can take turns pulling their knee or their shoulder, or as I'll show you, the hip. There we go. All right. So now we're going to go into a 90-90 position. It doesn't have to be a perfect 90-90. Essentially, mostly what I'm worried about is this left leg, this front leg, being externally rotated. So we've got about a 90-degree bend in this left knee. Okay, and whatever is comfortable you can do with this right leg. So what we're going to start off doing is lift-offs for external rotation. So for our hip, this is external rotation. Okay, so you might need to lean a little bit to the side. We're going to try to lift the ankle like so. All right, and this is where you can do whatever you want with this right leg. You can press it down, whatever gives you leverage and tension. All right, if this is really hard, you can even come down, totally to your side, like so. And I want you to feel these tissues in your inner thigh and groin being used to externally rotate. Okay, and what we're going to do is use these tissues for a passive range hold. So you don't have to do it yet, but essentially we're going to pull our hip in as much external rotation as we can, let go, and try to hold. And it's very typical to have a large gap in external rotation. So I'm going to give you multiple options here. You can either grab and hold and pull as much as you can. It's going to be pretty tough. Another one that I've used that I kind of like is I'll take my left elbow, get it on my thigh, and I'll use both arms to pull. For me, this gives me a little more leverage. The challenge is once I let go, sometimes it's hard to balance. So what I sometimes will do is I'll just keep my elbow here, and then when I let go, I'll kind of do something like this. So you can do that, or you can go like this. Either way works. It's really all about where can you get your max passive range and then have the stability to stay there when you let go. Okay, we'll do 3 reps though, so you get to play around with it if you want. All right, so first one, you're going to, however you want, you're going to pull that hip into as much external rotation as possible. Hold for a moment. You're going to slowly let go now and try to keep that ankle as high as possible. Hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Whew. If you got a big drop or you couldn't control it at all, totally okay. That's not uncommon. We certainly know then it's a big opportunity for you. And almost always, if you have someone else doing this, they'll get more passive range. It's really difficult to pull your hip into your passive range by yourself. But this at least approximates it. So we'll go again. All right, you can do whatever you want. So here I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to hook my elbow into my hip and use that to help pry this up. All right, so you can use whatever strategy works for you. Externally rotate it as much as you can get. I want you to hold it, anticipate, get ready. Mine's going to drop a lot. Slowly let go, hold, and relax. Woo! Okay. So if I was there, or if you have a partner, what I would do is I'd be like standing here with my hand on your thigh, and I'd just pry that hip up, and it would be really, really fun. All right, so we're gonna go for one more, whatever works for you. Okay, we're here, we're prying that hip as much as we can. You can even do this. All right, ready. Hold, we're gonna slowly let go. 3, 2, 1, hold. Hold, hold, hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Woo! Okay, shake it out there. That's a lot of work. the cool thing is if you're able to really find those tissues, this is intense enough. This is a legitimate strength training stimulus. You can build muscle doing this. And the cool part is you're training, you know, a big kind of deficit in your body rather than just sort of randomly training. So you're putting all this effort into building muscle in a specific way. Great news, we got another hip. All right, so step one, we're gonna get that right leg forward, 90-degree angle. And then we're gonna get in touch with some of these muscles, these tissues here. So we'll do some lifts. For those of you who are paying attention to me, ultimately I want you focusing more on yourself, but you'll notice I have a big difference here. So like my right hip does not externally rotate very much. But I want you tuning into yourself as well to figure out where you might have differences. So for me, I work both hips, but it makes more sense to spend extra time on the right. And what you may find too is maybe your passive range is the same on both hips, but your active range is different. So now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna play around, figure out the best way that you can get that passive range hold. I'm gonna go like this. I need a lot of leverage for my right hip. Okay, so you're gonna just pull as much as you can, slowly let go and try to hold it there. Yep. 3, 2, 1, relax. Whew. All right, I've occasionally done this with people, and I don't think I've seen this yet, at least from this class. And like, you know, someone can lift their leg this high, and then it drops all the way down. And we're like, hey, good news is you can walk and function. That's an enormous opportunity to feel better. So if you have a big gap, no worries. It means you can feel and move a lot better long term. So we'll go again. Whatever strategy you want here, you can pull with one arm, with two. If you need to, you can certainly lean and get on your side. There we go. Ready? And we're gonna slowly let go and hold. Hold, 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 hold. 3, 2, 1, relax. Whew. And then if you're like Walter and you have that great external rotation, yeah, you can just do it right from that 90-90 and just, you know. That's the ideal. The cool thing is wherever you are in terms of your mobility, you can challenge your end range. So let's go for one more. One more rep. You're gonna get a nice tight grip there. All right. As long as there's no pain, I want you really pulling into that passive range. Ready. Slowly let go. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Whoo! And Munch, that's pretty solid too. We got some good external rotation going on here. Shake out those legs a little bit. All right, and what we're gonna do next is we're gonna hit our hip cars. So we get to stand up for these, get off the floor, and for the hip cars, I want you focusing, of course, on the full range of motion, but just like we did with the shoulders, bring especially more attention to external rotation and coming up like this. So we'll feel those same tissues. This is another one with hip cars where sometimes we don't push as much on this part because this tends to take our focus. That's usually tougher. So left hip, we're going to do 3 cars here. You're going to externally rotate, pull up, knee comes up high, pry out, internally rotate, reach back. Then we'll drive the heel back, pry the knee and ankle up, knee comes high, and then externally rotate as much as you can. Ankle comes up, squeeze across. All right, we'll go for 2 more. Prying out, get that knee nice and high as well. Good, stay nice and solid through your midsection. As you come back, that knee comes high and we're externally rotating, leading across with that ankle and down. Whew, and find your max. My hips don't externally rotate a ton. All right, it may not look like it at least, but I want you to hit your max external in the beginning and end of the rep. There we go. Up, rotate, down. Okay, you can shake it out there. Whew. So another thing that you've noticed is I've been following up a lot of the active passive stuff with cars. They're a great way to reinforce some of the things we're working on. So here we go. Externally rotate with that right hip. Pull up. Pry out. Internally rotate. Come back. Stay solid as we push back. Pry that knee and ankle towards that armpit. Knee is high. Try to lead across with that right ankle. And down. All right, 2 more here. Nice and slow. Staying as tall as you can. Good. Up. Find that external rotation coming across. Fight for as much as you can. And we'll go for 1 more. Nice. Ooh. And we'll reverse. Finish strong. Fight for that external as you're coming across. And then you can relax. We're going to finish with a little bit of breath work. Okay, so you can, whatever's comfortable for you, you can kneel, you can lie down. However you would like to be is good. All right, so what we're going to focus on here is all nasal breathing. So if you're able to, I'm going to try to breathe only through your nose. If you must breathe through the mouth, totally cool. Try to mix in some nasal breaths. So just take a couple nice easy breaths, whatever feels good for you, in and out through the nose. As you get into a nice calm rhythm, then I do want you to focus on breathing evenly through your body. So if your torso is a canister, we're evenly breathing in all directions, which for most of us means breathing a little more into the back. So I want you expanding all directions here with your breath. You may even feel, and what I would like you to focus on a little bit too, is like your pelvis expanding. So if you breathe with pressure in all directions, you will expand down here as well. Now, keeping that calm breathing, keeping it through the nose as much as possible, we're going to do some box breathing. So it's going to be 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, 4 second hold. You may not be right on with where I'm starting, but I'll walk you through the first couple rounds. Okay, so you're going to breathe in, 3, 2, 1, hold, 3, 2, 1, breathe out, 3, 2, 1, hold, 3, 2, 1. And continue there. If you feel like you can do it and you want to, you can expand it to 5 or 6 seconds. So we'll take another minute here. Breathing through the nose, trying to breathe evenly into your body. Each inhale is 4 to 6 seconds, and then you're going to hold 4 to 6. And then controlled exhale, 4 to 6. And then hold the exhale. feel any of that tension just dissipate, especially as you exhale. And give it just a little longer here. All right, and you can of course feel free to continue that, but I won't have you do anything else for today. So great work. That controlled breathing, and especially slowing it down, is really helpful to bring your body down into more of a rest and digest or parasympathetic state, which is great for recovery. And generally in our culture, we tend to be chronically in that fight or flight. So almost always a good thing to spend a little extra time on the controlled breathing. So, well, thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or thoughts or anything, please feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.